Hello, I'm Nate Moore, and I'm here to talk to you guys about the Massillon 3-4-4-2 fusion defense. Start with an introduction. I'm Nate Moore. I'm the head football coach of the Massillon Tigers in Northeast Ohio. You can see a couple pictures of me here. I included these first two pictures to give you a picture of me doing what I do best on Friday nights, which is arguing with the referees. We all know how important that is. And we coach a little defense along the way, but we got to make sure we keep those referees straight. I want to tell you a little bit about Massillon as well. I think that's really important. Massillon, it's an old steel town, Northeast Ohio, which is Rust Belt, USA. It's a very economically diverse town. Which makes it really, in a lot of ways, it's a snapshot of America. And we have great tradition at Massillon. We started playing football in 1891. And we've had coaches, coach the Tigers like Earl Bruce and Paul Brown, and some great players along the way like Chris Spielman, Gary Conley, Devin Smith, to name a few. So great tradition. We've had a lot of recent success, especially with this fusion defense that we've been running. In 2018, we had a 14-1 season, and we averaged 15 points per game against us, and gave up 250 yards per game using this defense. And then this past season in 2019, we once again finished with a 14-1 record, and lowered those stats to 12 points per game for the season, and gave up just 232 yards per game. I do want to mention our two co-defensive coordinators, Craig McConnell and Spencer Lino. These guys do a fantastic job with our defense. In a lot of ways, I'm talking about their defense through these series. But we're blessed to have these two men at Massillon leading our defense, and it's an honor to be here talking about the defense that we put together to win football games for Massillon. Why fusion, right? Why is it called the fusion defense? Well, really we're taking two defenses that are probably the two most popular defenses right now in high school football, the 3-4 and the 4-2, and we're combining those two defenses. And I think that's really where the magic is of what we do defensively, which is how we bring those two schemes together and make those two things work for us to address all different types of offenses that we're going to see throughout the season. Now I'm going to go over some philosophy and some terms and definitions that will get you set up for all the upcoming presentations. A lot of these terms and definitions are standard, but I want to make sure that everybody's on the same page as we move forward through these presentations. First, some philosophy things. Number one for us is players over scheme. Players are the most important thing. The players drive our defense. In a lot of ways, the players drive where our focus is going to be, right, within how we combine the 4-2 and the 3-4 defenses. It's really important to know the strengths and weaknesses of all your players. And then we're looking for the fit of the player to a specific position. And I'll go through those things individually by position in a later presentation. All right, but the athletic ability, the size attributes, and how the player fits in that position are really important to us. And once we find that fit, then it's on us to be great teachers and teach those players how to execute the techniques and execute the schematics within the scheme. And we also always want to keep everything really, really simple for our players. We want them to be able to play fast. Another key point in our philosophy is pursuing to the football. All right, a term that our coaches have come up with to rally our guys around our defense is a black swarm defense, and our players and our coaches take that very, very seriously. So I want to roll through a couple clips here just to give you an idea of what we're looking for when we talk about swarming to the football. If you look here, you see all the black shirts swarming to the ball. All right, we want to play with great effort, right? We want all of our guys running to the football at all times. All right, we'll roll through some of these. All right, here we are in the white jerseys. And we're going to get a receiver screen out to the field, right? And watch all 11 white jerseys swarming to the football. Very important to us. All right, another clip here. All right, we get a toss sweep, right? And watch all those Tigers pursuing inside out to the football. 11 guys around the ball. Here we're facing a 3-by-1 set. Once again, get a quick swing screen out to the running back, and we've got 10 orange jerseys around the football when the whistle's blown. I do want to mention some key points to how we tackle. So this is very important to us defensively. All right, we use the name Tiger Tackle. It's the new brand of tackling that has been in vogue over the last 5, 6, 7 years now. It's a near shoulder leverage tackle. All right, and what that means to us is we're going to track the near hip. We want our eyes on the thighs of the offensive player, of the ball carrier. We want to wrap, squeeze, and roll, or wrap, squeeze, and drive for 5 at the point of contact. All right, but really a big key point is tracking that near hip, and it's a shoulder tackle. All right, like the days are gone of the head, get your head across, those types of tackles. And the truth is, when we go back, all right, and we review our tackling for the season, out of all of our poor tackles, missed tackles, all right, and tackles where we're giving up yardage, when our guys get their head across, that's usually when those things happen. All right, so we're big believers in shoulder tackling. All right, here you're going to check out the inverted safety here at the bottom of the field. All right, ideally we want him to hold that leverage, but watch how he comes through, right? Eyes on the thighs, near shoulder tackle, right? Shoulder on the near hip. He's going to wrap, squeeze, and roll, right? And at the point of contact there, that tackle, there's no more yardage gained. That's what we want to see. Okay, here we're going to check out our Mike linebacker, number 45 right here. We'll go to the end zone view for this one. All right, look at number 45. We would like to see a little bit higher contact at the point of impact, but look how he's on the near shoulder, he's on the near hip, shoulder tackle, right? And that plays dead right there. Drive for 5. All right, here we get a screen, right? And this is our will linebacker. Right here at the bottom of the screen, he's going to come through and make a nice near hip tackle, roll, and that plays dead at the point of contact. That's what we want to see. We don't want to be giving up yards after the contact. Okay, on this clip, all right, we get a quarterback option. Right, and we're going to watch this backside safety. All right, tracking the near hip, inside out, shoulder tackle, squeeze, wrap and squeeze and roll. Right, and then from the point of contact, there's no more yardage gained. All right, that's what we want to see. And like I said earlier, when we review our tackling, our best tackles are these clean shoulder tackles where we're tracking that near hip, wrap, squeeze, and roll. Or wrap, squeeze, and drive for 5. All right, when our guys have a tendency to get their head across, they're just not as good at tackles. All right, we're going to be watching the backside safety here again. All right, we're getting outside zone. He's pursuing inside out. All right, shoulder tackle, near hip. He's a little high here, but shoulder tackle, near hip. All right, that's a powerful tackle. That's a no gain after contact. Okay. Watching the backside safety again here. I'm sorry, the front side safety again here. All right. Ball squirts through on an inside zone play or power play. All right, he's inside out. Shoulder tackle, inside out. Wrap, squeeze, roll. All right. No yardage after point of contact. A couple more. Okay, this is a great clip here because this demonstrates another reason why we want to track the near hip. All right, so if you watch our corner right here, number 8, all right, as he's dropping in coverage, the ball's thrown, so he comes off his coverage, he's got to come up and make a tackle. Right, he's going to track the near hip, right? And when we get a cutback, right, if our head's across, if we're out in front of the tackle, that's a missed tackle every time. Missed tackle every time. But if we're tracking the near hip, right, like number 8 is here, when that ball cuts back, right, he's cutting back right into us. That's a nice, clean tackle, wrap, squeeze, drive for 5. Okay, we're looking at a bunch set. All right, we're looking at the safety, bottom of the film. All right, we get a inside zone ISO type of play here, an inside run. All right, and so we're tracking the near hip. So most of the time our defenders are working inside out, but if we are working outside in, right, like our safety is here, he's still going to track the near hip. So now this would be the outside hip of the runner. He's going to make contact on that outside hip, wrap, squeeze, and drive for 5. Okay, here we get another swing out. It's not a running back, it's a receiver. Kind of a swing bubble type of look here. All right, now we're going to watch our Sam linebacker number 3 here. All right, so he's an outside leverage player. Right, he's an edge player for us here. All right, so he wants to stay outside of the ball carrier when possible. So his near hip, he's tracking here is the outside hip. Nice shoulder tackle. All right, wrap, squeeze, and roll. Got a couple more examples here. Good. Once again, we're looking at our Sam linebacker here at the top of the screen, number 3. All right, as he fits into the box, right, he's an edge player, so that near hip is now the outside hip. Right, shoulder tackle on the near hip, wrap, squeeze, roll. Okay, here we get an outside zone. All right, this time we've got our corner right here, number 19, to the nub tight end side. Right, he gets the outside zone at him, a pin pull scheme, right? And he's going to make contact with his shoulder on the near hip. Right, he's an outside leverage defender. Shoulder tackle, wrap, squeeze, roll. Some more philosophy. All right, our defense is built on discipline. All right, it's really a key component as we're assessing what players that we can use on defense on any given year. We're looking for guys that will do their job. All right, we're not necessarily looking for the fastest players or the biggest players or the strongest players necessarily, unless those are the same guy. Right? If the really talented guys can be accountable and do their job on every play, right, those guys can play for us on defense. Number 5, we're a gap sound defense. Right, everybody occupies one gap, and we talk about building a wall. All right, making sure all the gaps are filled, all the gaps are accounted for. All right, spill. We are a spill defense. All right, that means we are trying to force the ball to the edges. All right, whenever possible. All indirect blocks to all of our players on the line of scrimmage. All the indirect blocks. Most of the indirect blocks, we'll talk about that. To our inside linebackers, we're going to spill those too. All right, so we wanted to force the ball to the outside. Take away those vertical seams. All right. We always want to know and have an edge player. We always have to have an alley player, and we always have to have a cutback player. All right. You want to have those in every single one of your schemes. All right. And we want to be really, really good at situational football. All right. We ask our guys to think like a baseball player in a lot of ways. All right. Where, before that pitcher throws his pitch, you got to think, okay, if I got a runner on first and the ball's hit over here, I got to know where to go with the baseball, where it's going. All right. Our guys have to think like that pre-snap. They have to take all those what ifs into account, right? So that when it happens, they can play fast and go. Okay, on to some terms and definitions. Right? Odd. Okay, so when we talk about an odd front, what we're talking about is a defensive front based off of a 3-down lineman structure. Okay? When we talk about an even front, we're talking about an even front based off of a 4-down lineman structure. ISO. All right, when we mention ISO, we're talking about the traditional isolation play, right, where the offensive line's blocking scheme, an offensive blocking scheme where the fullback blocks the playside linebacker, all right, and the offensive line accounts for the other players, the other 5 players. All right, when we talk about a gap scheme, all right, that's a scheme where the offensive blocking scheme where the offensive line is responsible for their inside gap. All right, often with the lineman pulling to the play side, but doesn't have to. All right, so gap scheme, the offensive line is responsible for the inside gap. A zone scheme is an offensive blocking scheme where the offensive linemen are responsible for their play side gap. All right, match coverage. All right, most of our coverage are based out of a match coverage principle. All right, it's a zone coverage where instead of defending an area, you defend a man based off of the routes run by the eligible receivers, right? So we're not dropping into zones. We're not covering grass. We're covering men. And how the offensive route combinations present themselves determines who is going to take who in coverage. All right. Alignments. All right. So here's the alignments as we use them. All right. We'll start with the down lineman first. All right. A head-up shade on the center is a 0. All right. Outside shade of the center is a 1. All right. For an offensive or defensive lineman that aligns on the guard, an inside shade on the guard is a 2i. A head-up shade on the guard is a 2. And an outside shade on the guard is a 3. All right. On the tackle, an inside shade on the tackle is a 4i. A 4 is head-up on the tackle. A 5 is outside the tackle. And a 6 is a wide 5, essentially, right, to a split inside or open side look. And then on the tight end, a 7 is inside the tight end, an 8 is head up the tight end, and a 9 is outside the tight end. When it comes to our linebackers, all right, we use a similar type of wording when we're talking about their alignments, all right, but instead of single digits, we use a base 10 system, all right? So if a linebacker is head up on the center, it's going to be a 0 alignment. All right. If he's in the A gap, right, inside the guard, it's a 10. If he's head up to the guard, it's a 20 alignment. Right. Outside the guard is a 30 alignment in the B gap. Head up on the tackle is a 40 alignment. And outside the tackle would be a 50. All right. Just want to make sure everybody understands receiving threats. All right, so when we talk about receiving threats on our defense, all right, we're referring to number 1, number 2, number 3 receivers on either side of the football. All right, so this formation right here, a 2-by-1 set, the number 1 receiver is the furthest outside from the football. The number 2 is inside of the number 1 receiver, and the number 3 receiver is the fullback in the backfield. All right, so it wouldn't matter if he's in the backfield, aligned as a running back, or if he's split out, that would be the number 3 receiver. And then to the weak side here, all right, our number 1 receiver is split out, and our number 2 receiver is in the backfield. So that's important for our communication within our defensive scheme, especially when it comes to coverages. All right, and then just want to walk through how we're going to refer to formations in general. All right, so some 2-by-1 formations. All right, so we're talking about 2 eligible receivers split out, right, to one side, and 1 eligible receiver split out to the other side. Okay, it could be any combination of that. It doesn't matter who's on and who's off, right? It doesn't matter what the backfield alignment is. Here we have a split back, right? Here we have a stacked backfield. Both of those formations we would refer to as a 2-by-1 set. 2-by-2 sets are just a grouping of offensive formations where we have 2 receivers on either side of the ball. Okay? So here we have a twin set, all right, to the outside here, right? 2 receivers out here, right? And to this side, we have a receiver and a tight end, all right? Those are still 2 eligible receivers out there. We would refer to that as a 2-by-2 set, all right? And here you have your traditional spread set with 2 double twins on either side. Obviously, that's a 2-by-2 set also, all right? But any combination of that, we would put in the 2-by-2 family. All right, and then 3-by-1 sets. All right, so now we have 3 receivers to one side, 1 receiver to the other. All right, whatever the combination of 3 receivers are out there. All right, if there's 1 receiver outside of the offensive line on this side, right, whether that's a tight end or the receiver split out, we would refer to that as a 3-by-1 set. 3-by-2 or an empty set. All right, now simply we have 3 receivers split out to one side. Any combination of wings and tight ends, doesn't matter. All right, and then away from the strength, we have 2 receivers split out. Same thing, it could be a twin set. It could be a receiver and a wing, or it could be a receiver and a tight end. All right, but if we have 3 to one side, 2 to one side, and any combination, we'll refer to that as a 3-by-2 set. And then 4-by-1, all right? Quite obviously now we have 4 receivers of any combination, right? To the strength, the offensive strength, whether that's wings or receivers, on or off, or a tight end. All right, if we have 4 receivers to one side and 1 eligible receiver to the back side, that's now what we would refer to as a 4-by-1 set. So I hope you enjoyed that introduction and going over our philosophy in terms and definitions. All right, all those things will set you up for the future clinic talks in this presentation series. Thank you.